everyone. Welcome to Dragon Talk. I am Greg Tito. I have Shelly to my left.
Hello.
We also have two amazing guests on the video Skypes. Hello to Elisa Teague. Hello.
Hello.
And Emmett Fury.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
You two have some of the best names.
You really do.
For what you do. I just have to say that and get that out there because I think every time I've said Emmett, your name, people are like, oh my God, that's not a real name.
Really a great name.
I know.
I'm super jealous of Emmett's name.
As you should be.
I have like a deep set anger that could just come out at any moment. It's a very apt name and not like an ironic name or anything.
It's true.
That's your real name?
Your superpower is your
It is my real name.
Your flaming anger that will come out, I'm sure, at some point.
Emmett Fury.
But we're talking to you guys because you did a ton of work leading up to Stream of Many Eyes with the No Stone Unturned ARG. We kind of revealed it a little bit, but we can definitely reveal now that you two were the masterminds behind that entire game.
That is awesome. Good job, by
the way. So thank you. Yeah, number one,
Yay.
thank you. Yay!
Now tell me everything for the people who weren't there.
But there's a lot of people listening who don't actually even know what an ARG is or how the No Stone Unturned began. So Emmett, why don't you begin with a little bit about what this means?
Okay. I guess the way I've been defining alternate reality games is like it's a game where you get to play yourself in the real world as it kind of overlaps with the fictional world you're dealing with. So in the case of this, we had some sort of beloved D&D characters who either through magic or portals wound up on our Earth Twitter. And
of course they went to Twitter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so how should we start? Should I do a little recap of what it was all about, or?
I think even the term ARG and alternate reality games, not many people may know exactly what that entails. So these characters that we had, they were on Earth, and what that means is that there was posts on Twitter, things that were cryptic, didn't really understand what they were. And the players in our real world had to decipher clues and put stories together and hopefully unlock more and more content. And Elisa, you worked on all of the puzzles that the players had to solve.
Right. I mean, not all alternate reality games have puzzles, but most of them, and the fun ones, in my opinion, do. And so, yeah, we started off the whole thing with a puzzle. In the announcement for Stream of Many Eyes, there was a very simple Morse code line on the bottom of the teaser ad, and those who caught it knew where to go, and they knew to follow the hashtag of No Stone Unturned. And when Emmett started with the Twitter account for our main hero here on Earth, we started unveiling small puzzles so that the solvers out there could figure out who this guy was. And Emmett, I don't know if you want to like reveal everything that went with putting forth our hero.
Sure. Any of you who watch Stream of Many Eyes are probably familiar with the stone you can see on screen right now next to Greg.
It was the Stone of Galore, a artifact with 3 eyes on it.
So that was sort of the MacGuffin of the ARG. The story was that Elminster had sent it, along with a guardian, to Earth via a portal for safekeeping, knowing that one day it would need to be returned. And you know, at the time, the stone, the name of the stone was so secret that no one was allowed to use it. They were afraid that even just saying it aloud would sort of draw the attention of the people they were trying to hide it from.
That was an answer in some other puzzles down the line. So we definitely didn't want that out there.
Yes, that is absolutely the other reason why no one would talk about it. The stone, right? So to make the process of finding the stone even more difficult, the Guardian agreed to have a spell cast on him to temporarily change his memories so that he wouldn't even accidentally give away his location. So for a while, this character was on Earth and had memories of growing up on Earth as a person named Adam Glover, and did not know that they were really from the Forgotten Realms, and did not know that well, that they were in fact Volo, beloved Volo.
Surprise! Volo Thamp who we have used a bunch, especially in Volo's Guide to Monsters, as the person who writes all of the lore about the monsters in that book. But I think when Chris Perkins and Matt Cernit and Emmett and Elisa and I were talking about this storyline, when we figured out that Volo, if he was trapped in our world, still wouldn't be able to resist writing reviews for specific places that he had been, as he is known to do in the Forgotten Realms, using a specific 5 daggers if it's a dangerous place, that type of system. Once we found that, I think we were all just tickled pink as Elisa's hair, to want to include that somehow.
Right.
Yeah, and we did. We actually, Emmett wrote some awesome reviews for Yelp, and one of the puzzles was to find Adam's Yelp page, and then hidden in these reviews, we had 2 different sets of reviews. The first set of reviews were reviews for game stores, and hidden in the reviews were actual locations in Faerun. So once solvers got that, they were able to find passwords that they could give to each of those specific game stores. And we actually had tons of people driving for hours and hours. I heard of people even flying out. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard rumors of people getting on airplanes or wanting to get on airplanes to try. I'm sorry, I have a cat.
No, I was going to say, there's the cat. There's almost always a cat that shows up during
Cats
the Dragon
love
Talk
Dragon
interview.
Talk.
I do have 4 cats, so maybe the others will make an appearance as well. But anyway, so they went to the game store and gave the password, and when they gave the right password, they received an awesome little key that Emmett had put glyphs of a secret. I don't know what you guys are revealing about that language, but I know that it has now been seen on T-shirts at the No Stone Unturned event. So, but those
you can reveal. I think they were made for you guys for this game. So.
Oh, I'm so honored.
Yes.
So we had little words on the keys, and as each solver shared with the solving community those words, everybody and get an alphabet. And that was the first few days of this ARG, of everybody working together as a community solving this.
Right. Do you have one of those physical keys there now, Emmett, so people could see what we're talking about?
Yeah, let me just grab it.
Okay.
So keep talking, Elisa. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool.
I'll keep talking. I'll talk forever.
Wait, so when did this start? Is this before the stream?
It started when we announced the Stream of Many Eyes on May 1st.
It started because there was that secret message in which I totally missed. I knew there was.
You don't know Morse code, huh?
I guess not.
Yeah.
But you didn't tell people, you didn't give any hints that there was anything happening.
That's the cool part about games like this, is that you almost, knowing that it exists is part of the fun, and that's why it's called alternate reality games, is because folks who are paying attention see things or see puzzles or see answers in things that they may not, and there's a lot of red herrings, so they might not know.
So now I have to I feel like everything I look at now, I just have to look at differently, because there could be a game in there.
Welcome to our lives.
Elisa or Emmett could have touched that.
You never know.
That's
if
amazing.
I've touched it, there's probably a puzzle in it, just as a warning to everybody. But yeah, no, it spread like wildfire, and there were several Discord groups, Reddit groups, Facebook groups, all working towards solving this ARG. One of them kind of grew to started recruiting and grew to enormous proportions, and that's the one that we refer to the most when we talk about the solvers. We'll nickname them, they nickname themselves hashtag Team Volo. I have to give them a shout out in case they're watching.
They did great. And they were one of the first ones that figured out, or at least had the hunch that it was Volo, right?
I think they were rooting for it to be Volo, and so that's why they named themselves that. They caught on to it pretty early. I think just because for fun they wanted it to be Volo. They ended up being right. but yeah, it was great because that community is so inclusive and welcoming, and they were really working together. Most of our first response answers came from that particular group, but we had many other groups working on it as well.
That's cool.
I've got, so I don't know, this is the key. On the one side, it's got the ampersand, and the other side has Elminster's mark.
Nice.
Okay.
And by the way, for anybody who's listening, I know the characters have been pretty silent since the ARG ended, but we talked about sending prizes, and we are going to, and it will be those keys. So for those of you who really helped solve stuff, we're compiling that list now to get those.
We have a secret list.
We have a secret list. Ooh, cool. Yeah, and you'll get that physical key as a reward, and it is a USB drive that can store up to 8 gigabytes.
No way.
Right? It's 8 gigs?
Oh, 8
No,
gigabytes.
it's not 8 gigs. It's significantly less than that.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 2 gigs. But
2 gigs of data. You can put a single photo that you take nowadays on that.
That is cool.
The selfie you take.
But
with
it's
your
cool.
key.
yeah, I have mine on my keychain just to, it doesn't actually open anything, but
Except our hearts.
They were designed to hold one picture, and so those keys were what was distributed at those game stores. But in addition to the game stores, we also had a huge list of influencers that participate in Dungeons and Dragons as their hobby, their love, their job, everything. And we sent out a ton of them that had another set of images on it for another puzzle that was happening later on in the ARG, and those trickled out naturally over the course of a couple of weeks, which gave myself and Emmett slight heart attacks because
well,
some of them came in like groups. We had no control over it. We didn't even tell the people we sent them to what they were.
Yeah.
We just let them be a part of the experience themselves. And if they got it and released it, wonderful. If they didn't, we sent out, doubles and triples of everything, and they did all get released in the perfect amount of time. So it actually worked out really great.
Yeah,
Were
so
they
if you were,
different images or
there
all
were
the
different
same?
images for each one, and there was a letter from Elminster that you wrote, right, Emmett?
yes. And yeah, I know. I think a lot of the players thought that all the influencers were in on it, and for the most part, they were just receiving a package in the mail from Elminster with instructions, and then being able to do or not do as they would with that information.
And they didn't know they were getting this?
Nope.
No.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I think that really increased the amount of fun and engagement that they had with
Yes.
it was because, I'm just thinking about Matt Mercer's post about it where he was like, oh my God, this is so cool that I got a letter from Elminster, and then he immediately shared it and posted it, on a Thursday, which of course he gets lots of traffic on Thursdays before Critical Role, so it was a perfect storm of a whole bunch of things that I think really worked out for people enjoying this. Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about doing it that way is that they really felt like they were a part of it too. They had no idea what was going on. It was much more natural that way, and that's the way it should be. So they were part of the game.
Yeah.
So
Lisa,
that
you've done a couple of ARGs puzzles like this, and Emmett, you have too. But now why don't you talk a little bit about your background, Elisa, of doing these with Wizards in the past and other groups that you've done it with?
Well, for Wizards, this is the first ARG I've done for Wizards. I did do, for the Magic the Gathering side of things, I did write with Gabby Wildlane while I was working for Lone Shark Games.
Mm-hmm.
We did a series of escape rooms for the Grand Prix a couple years ago. And so what Gabby and I did was we wrote and designed 3 different escape rooms that ran all on one weekend, all at the same time on 3 continents. So we had one in Australia, one in Italy, and one, in Chicago.
In different languages too, right? Didn't it have to be translated into 12 languages?
We kept the one in Italy, and that's the one I was on site for. We kept it as language free as possible. We actually tried to keep all of them as language free as possible, but it was your basic escape room, and those were really fun. And I have written a couple other puzzly things for Dungeons and Dragons, some upcoming, some already released. I did the competitive epic at GaryCon this year, which was very puzzle heavy, and for those who got to play, I know there was a really great reaction, and I think that will be released sometime next year. through DM's Guild, but not after all of the conventions get their chance at it. So if you want to play it, go to one of your conventions where AL is running and they're running it, and you get to play it and figure out those puzzles. But my background with puzzles started when I was a little kid. I always was into solving puzzles and writing puzzles, and my dad was like big on cryptography, and he would teach me how to do all of it. And then when I met Mike Selinker from Lone Shark Games, we did a lot of puzzle stuff together. I worked for them for a little while, and that's just never really gone away. I have worked on a lot of ARGs, most of which I am not allowed to talk about. You guys are really cool about letting us come out from behind the curtain. Usually I can't discuss what I work on, but big ones for big entertainment companies, and they're a lot of fun. They're always a pleasure for me to do.
Nice. So I'll get back to you in a second, Lisa, to ask about how this one differed. But yeah, Emmett, talk a little bit about your background and what you've done leading up to this.
Right now, I'm working with Niantic to sort of help develop a tabletop RPG for their property Ingress, and I've been going around to different cities.
I love
Game
Ingress.
Master. Yeah, it's exciting, and so that's fun. And then I've done a lot of like varying degrees, a lot of it sort of indie web series type stuff, but things with alternate reality game components and things especially with like interactive social media components. A lot of this similar sort of like these characters on Twitter say in real time. Like I worked on a project called The New Adventures of Peter and Wendy. It was a vlog style modern update of Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I played all those characters on Twitter in real time while the episodes were being released. And,
cool.
So it was a lot of me talking to myself on Twitter, which I'm used to now, and talking to the fans. And on that project, for instance, we also encouraged them to like make their own characters who lived in Neverland, Ohio, where the story was set, and Twitter accounts for those characters, and role play online as if they lived in the town with the characters. And so I was kind of overseeing that as well.
I like that.
So that was a lot of fun. And then, so it was interesting bringing that sort of experience to this. And I know in talking to Elisa early on, she mentioned that that for ARGs that have puzzles, oftentimes there are points during it where if there are interactive characters that they maybe shouldn't talk all the time. And I'm sure Elisa can go into it, but sort of my takeaway from that is everyone playing is sort of poring over everything these characters say. So you wouldn't want to accidentally lead people down a wrong path by having them look for a clue in something that wasn't meant to be a clue. And alternatively, as they should, the players were asking the characters questions constantly. And really just for the good of the game, we weren't in a position to respond to every question all the time.
Yeah.
So sort of setting up that expectation by having them respond to everything might not have been the perfect. But it was certainly an interesting. We had a great one of the characters was Immortal Fortress, who turned out not to be who they were claiming to be. They were pretending to be a bard, and I therefore had them speaking in sort of rhyming iambic pentameter the whole time. So anytime that person had to respond to a tweet, it was time to write a little sonnet. And anytime we had to deliver a clue, Elisa would have to tell me, what the clue had to be about, and then I had to write a poem, and then she'd have to be like, no, that's not quite right because of this, and then I'd have to iterate the poem, and it was a great, interesting iterative process.
Right.
It's like
it broke my heart every single day having to tell Emmett that this beautiful poem wasn't okay because he was working.
You just made a poem right there.
He's so good at it. He can just whip these out like nobody's business, but I was like, well, if you say it like this, they're going to think that, and that's not what we want them to think. And so cluing for puzzles is very tricky in the first place. You don't want to give too much away. You definitely don't want to steer them down the wrong path. And making everything not only rhyme, but also fit a specific meter is practically impossible, but he still did it. And I just felt bad making him rewrite them a billion times.
To be clear, Emmett offered. He was like, I can do this in an iambic pentameter, should I? And I was like, yes, if you want to.
I did it to myself. Yeah, and no worries. That was the process. And, I feel like a lot of the drafts of some of these little sonnets were like, either giving too much away or just too obtuse to be not clear at all. And finding like I gather, yes, even when you're not adhering to some sort of strict rhyme and meter scheme, the content of a clue is a very delicate balance. So it was an extra layer of difficulty, but one that ultimately was sort of fulfilling for us and hopefully fun for everyone who participated.
Yeah.
So how do you two, have you worked together before, or how did you two team up?
Funny enough, we met for the first time on the first day of Stream of Many Eyes.
What?
We've been talking constantly, almost basically on a sort of daily basis, being like, here's my hourly schedule today. Here's where I'll be and when, so that whatever one of us needs to do a thing, the other one knows where we were going to be. But we had not actually met in person until that Friday.
Was this the first project you've worked on together?
It was.
Oh, I'm glad it worked out.
It was. Look, ARGs are a living, breathing game. And anything can happen at any time. So yes, there were times where at 3 o'clock in the morning, we are sending messages to each other saying, oh my God, this just happened. We need to be prepared for X, Y, Z. Because the solvers are just as part of the game as we are, if not more so. They are controlling everything. And so, yeah, we just needed to be in constant communication. We worked pretty well together for somebody who's never met each other before.
Yeah. It was super fun and a great process. So fun to do and fun to see people, get those aha moments when they figured out the clues. Some of them they tore through in like literal seconds, and some of them took them days, which I guess is kind of what you'd want.
Yeah, I remember you guys, describing it kind of like you're basically dungeon mastering a game that's happening on the internet, where most people don't know it's actually happening, right? Like that's kind of what you guys are doing.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I've heard this before, but in ARGs, basically the internet collectively has infinite time and knowledge. So when you add up in aggregate everyone who might be playing a game, so they are able to, especially now with things like reverse Google image lookups and stuff. I know we were talking during it that it's harder to do certain kinds of clues than it used to be.
Yeah, so I mean, when I first heard about ARGs, it was around the Halo 2 campaign. I Love Bees might be the thing that most people kind of connect with this kind of thing. But that was way back in 2004, I'm thinking, right? 2004, 2005 era, which was, if you think about it, I mean, that's pre-Facebook, that's pre-Twitter, it's pre-social media. The ARGs then were very different. They were websites. They were things that you needed to have like a little bit more of a almost a technical prowess to kind of discover that they were even existing, right? And so this one in 2018, you obviously used Twitter, almost exclusively for this type of thing. Can you talk a little bit about how ARGs have changed and shifted over the years?
Well, people are just much better at all things tech now. I mean, and now everybody has Photoshop installed on their computer. Everybody can pull apart, voice recordings and look at sound waves. I mean, this is what people do. We've got, but most ARG, well, I won't say most, but many ARG solvers are in tech business, hackers and the like, and they pulled together really do have infinite knowledge and have the ability and resources nowadays versus back then to do anything. So yes, we do have to change our cluing. We actually went down to simpler routes for this one, mostly because of that. We didn't want people spending their time picking apart everything, and we tried to deliver clues or puzzles that you would find in a game, like in a tabletop game. I insert puzzles into all of my games that I do. And,
I wonder why.
And so I wanted to do things that could show solvers that, yes, this is fun to do in an alternate reality game, but you can also take this type of feel to your table.
That is cool. I like that.
I want to make sure we thank Satine as well, new community manager over there, because she had an idea during it to sort of wrap in some of the live stream player GMs. I wish I had that list of them right now to thank all of them individually, but
we thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, everyone was great. It allowed us to add that other information stream. We basically had these two characters of Kailash Marivaldi claiming to be the same person, and it led to a kind of tense ending where no one knew exactly who to trust. And so that the information stream for one of them kind of came through. sort of magically possessing the GMs of those shows to deliver other clues that towards the end of the ARG.
Yeah, awesome job, Satine Phoenix, for activating that. Although I saw Elisa smile when you mentioned that, because that also led to a lot of like, oh no, you're not cluing it exactly the way we want to clue this.
No.
They did a great job. It was, I smiled when he said last minute idea, because it was a last minute idea, and it was a great one. But we were going to reveal that information differently, but it was such a cool way of doing it, and it did allow us to include another platform, because at the time we were using Twitter, Yelp, and Instagram, but we had not been able to use all these awesome Twitch streams with all of this great content that, quite frankly, a lot of the solvers that came from an ARG background and not Dungeons and Dragons background didn't even know existed, and even those who are huge D&D fans may not have caught all of those different streams, and it did allow them to be exposed to all of this cool content that they didn't really know about. And I have now heard since, through people interacting with me on Twitter, that they are fans of these shows and they can't wait for the next episode. And that's really cool to hear, that they discovered these great shows just because we decided to trickle clues through them.
Yeah.
So, like, cool. What kind of clues? No, because I'm like, how much did I miss?
A lot.
I missed a lot. Were you giving out clues on Dragon Talk right in front of me?
No, that would have been a great idea. If I had, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been. Okay.
Yeah, actually, you were giving out clues, and you didn't even know it.
I didn't even know. Why are you making me say this?
We did have 8 original puzzles. We were only going to do 8 original puzzles. I'm a little overzealous. I ended up doing what I call 19 and a half puzzles over the 4 weeks. And so the ones through Twitch were images, and they were other letters, glyph letters, that needed to be decoded in a slightly different way than the original. So everybody had to take their knowledge of previous puzzles and kind of flip them on their heads and put it all together in one last big puzzle to get Volo home, basically. And that's the cool thing about ARGs and meta puzzling in general, is that you can have all these little puzzles that teach you how to do a thing, and then when you put it all together at the end, you get the revelation.
Oh, that's so cool.
That is super neat. And then you guys, kind of introduced the idea of the Stone of Galore right here through the ARG. And we actually ended up shooting a little bit of Volo's hands coming out of the yawning portal, which was all your idea. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think Elisa mentioned that a lot of the players of the ARG were fairly certain that the Stream of Many Eyes was going to be all about Volo because he was the sort of the lead of this event, which turned out not to be the case at all. But I think that's also very cool. We definitely wanted there to be some sort of handoff visually between the ARG and the Stream of Many Eyes, and so that was I was glad you guys were able to put that in there for sure.
Yeah, and so you can see that at the. I think it's at. Actually, I haven't actually seen the shot yet. Is it at the top of Saturdays?
It's at the very top of Saturday, right before everything starts.
Yeah, so you might not even have known that you were seeing the culmination of the ARG happen as you watched it.
Oh,
that's very true.
But once they realized that that the Stone of Galore was the stone that was being talked about constantly during the ARG, the people watching the streams were very excited, I think, in finally putting that together.
Yeah. And then
they did get. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
they did get a possibility at the end of the ARG. Our players got to decide who Volo should trust, which Kailash he should trust, which spell he should, which portal he should use in order to get home. And then we introduced the third option of don't trust either of them. You could just go to Waterdeep and keep the stone for yourself until you are sure of what to do with it. And that is ultimately what everybody voted.
Oh, really? And so good.
So maybe that wasn't the right thing to vote, because if you watch what happens with the stone, maybe that wasn't what Volo should have done, but that is what happened. So we shot that ending really quick, literally the day that it was airing, and that's what you guys did. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
I mean, I suppose it's better than having Volo delivered straight to Hallister. So there's that. That being one of the options.
That was.
Yeah.
We actually, we can totally reveal this now, but there was at one point we were going to have a scene kind of play out at the beginning of the June 2nd programming with someone dressed as Volo being accosted and or mugged and having the Stone of Galore taken from him that way. But there were so many moving parts with that show. We were like, I don't know if that'll be exactly the payoff we want, and
No.
all of the things that were happening.
They've worked so hard to help him, and then to watch
No,
him get
Stone
mugged.
was stolen. It definitely was stolen. He just wasn't. It wasn't stolen in the same way that we had originally planned.
Right. And I like that you
Sort of
guys kept and fought for that
forward.
one shot, because I think that was honestly ended up being the best kind of lead-in, because it didn't. I think it might have pulled focus too much if there was a whole scene about it, but just having like a shot or two kind of get that idea across that the stone is now lost, and then all of the sessions that we're playing on Saturday on June 2nd had to now try to find that stone again. I think that worked out really well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
We
what
also
they were
had
about.
the very fun element of the players sort of shipping Volo with Kailash that we certainly didn't plan. But that was certainly before they realized that maybe Kailash isn't who Kailash. It was sort of like Hallister was sort of interdimensionally catfishing Volo. That's a bummer.
We had solvers giving Volo love advice on Twitter in depth. It was pretty entertaining.
That is really entertaining. As you guys, the dungeon masters, being like, "Mwah, if you only knew."
Wait until we dash all your hopes.
Yeah, we broke their hearts. Sorry.
You don't ship with at least some risk in your heart, right? So
Very true.
And somehow Greg Tito ended up with the stone.
it's true. That's right. I have the stone now.
Interesting.
It is the one souvenir I decided, other than this chocolate that is also here.
Not for long.
Not for long, because Shelly's gonna eat it all.
Well, you earned it, Greg. Thank you for helping us throughout this whole process. It's been awesome.
No problem. Thank you for taking the crazy idea and making it reality. And I think what I love about this whole game mechanic and the ARG in general was that it fit directly in with all of the fun of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. That there's going to be these puzzles. You're going to have to solve them. You're going to have to find your way to outsmart your opponents, not necessarily overpower them. I think were tenets of what the Dragon Heist story is going to be about. And you guys were telling our fans about that before anyone else even was able to. So thank you for that.
It was great to be a part of it.
And I'm glad that all those puzzles, 19 and a half of them were made, Elisa.
Me too.
Yeah, Elisa certainly went above and beyond and was amazing to work with. And it was a fun sort of creative process too. Just going back and forth.
Yeah,
Likewise, it was really a pleasure to work with everybody on the team.
Mm-hmm.
How many story meetings did we have with like Perkins and Cernet and everyone just talking through? And we must have gone through probably like 10 different iterations of what this story was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
and some of it, as we discussed, was happening as we went, in a way, just because that's the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm. Again, anything can change at any time during one of these. One solver can change the course of a whole thing. I mean, we definitely had our plot points, but it's just like a regular game at your table. Your DM has to kind of, roll with the punches.
So did that happen during this? Were there times when you're like, oh, no, gotta change it to plan B. We're going off the rails here.
A few times, not really off the rails, but we definitely had to change the order of certain things. We had a group of very aggressive solvers that were trying to brute force some things that they really couldn't, but they did stumble upon an answer early, so I kind of switched things around. But on the whole, it pretty much worked out the way we wanted it to. I don't want to ever railroad a storyline in any way, but we definitely had some place where we had to get to, and we got there, and everybody had a lot of fun getting there.
Yeah, there's a delicate balance on these type of things. Back to to what Greg mentioned, the I Love Bees Halo ARG. A brief anecdote I'd heard about that was that it was all around this artificial intelligence from the Halo future that was hidden on like a GeoCities style beekeeper website in the present. And at one point, one of the players the deal was like there were payphones ringing all over the world, and people had to go and answer these phones. And sometimes there'd be an actor playing a character on the Arg on the other end, and they'd talk. And at one point, someone was sort of like browbeating one of the players, saying like, "Where is this AI?" And that player was like, "Oh, it's on this website." And then the guys running it were like, "Oh my God, he just right away gave away where our character is hiding." And it's like you can't, part of this is in the crafting. It's tough. Like if you ask them a question and there's an answer that you don't want, that's part of the trick, is sort of like posing the situations in a way that like hopefully there's not an outcome that's going to make you change the entire story or write a whole aside. Which is, that said though, we did certainly like send a couple of like course correction like hints when we sort of see on Twitter that maybe they were going down a wrong road.
But that's got to be what makes it fun for you guys too, is that it's not a static, one way of information. You guys are playing back and forth. That's why I like the idea of that you guys are dungeon mastering this game, is because there's give and take. You can't just have it be one way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to a degree, like there wasn't a ton of being able to pre-script the tweets, even the sonnets. So some of it, but just because it's so evolving, and because in a way a lot of them will be responses to each other or to the players. So we just sort of have the tent poles we're going to hit at some point.
Yeah.
But you go through that and see how it goes.
So do you think it's gratifying to be able to talk about it as much as you have been able to? Like, is it nice that it's like, okay, this is done and you can wrap it up and talk about it?
I do. I love being able to talk about it because I don't get the opportunity very often. So it's nice to be able to share this type of craft, because a lot of people don't even know that it exists. And in the perfect puzzle world, it's better that people don't really know that it exists, because it's all about the discovery. But it's nice to be able to like come out and be able to talk about what I do, because I love it.
Yeah, me too. It's very cool, and I think the whole early on, the earliest ARGs, I think it was called "This Is Not a Game." That was the way they were like. That was sort of their mantra for like, this is a thing that's happening in the real world, and. But being able to step behind the curtain is nice, talk to people as me and not as fictional characters. I feel like I definitely have more than like 100 different Twitter accounts for fictional characters, and I'm probably
that you're in control of right now. That you could spoot up a new one at any moment.
Yeah, and like I probably have tweeted more as a fictional character than myself, and oddly, it's more it's easier.
I have a funny anecdote. I have a fake Twitter account for a character I did. Actually, this is one I can talk about. I ran it wasn't an ARG, but it was a 7-day long escape room on a cruise ship for the Joko cruise.
Oh, right.
2 years ago. And we had fictional characters setting everything up. And one of the characters was a cryptozoologist named Dr. Monica Brunelli, and she knew everything about like Bigfoot and chupacabras and everything else. And so my Twitter account, in order to prepare for the cruise so nobody would think it was anybody but a regular passenger on the cruise, for months I was collecting friends on Twitter, all that were in that world, like people who really think Bigfoot exists and everything like that. And so I still have that Twitter account, and every once in a while I'll log in, and there's the most interesting stuff on there that she follows, and they follow her back because they think she's like, the real world thinks she's writing some big book on finding cryptids across North America. But it's just one of those things where I have that in my back pocket, but it's really funny to just go and visit this fictional character every once in a while.
They probably think she's dead if she hasn't tweeted in 2 years.
She hasn't tweeted in a long
probably
time.
think Bigfoot got her.
Oh my gosh, is she okay?
Monica may have to like.
But see, that's great because you almost have this embedded character that you can use again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess so. I just gave it away,
awesome.
I guess.
Yeah, but they'd have to listen to this podcast and know you and know it. And you actually did say the name, didn't you? You did say the name.
She did.
It's a fascinating kind of a storytelling opportunity, because I mentioned that Peter and Wendy project, and a lot of those players had been fans of a spin-off of the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, which is another web series. based on Jane Austen novels, and one of them had the same sort of component of people creating characters on Twitter who lived in that world, like and role playing them online, and like some of them. So they came over from, say, Welcome to Sanditon, and they made these characters for that show, and then that show ended, and then we started Peter and Wendy, and they took that character and put in their bio, I used to live in Sanditon, but I just moved to Neverland. Like, they took a Twitter character they made for a totally unrelated web series and sort of moved them into our fandom, and they could, now that Peter and Wendy is over, they could totally take those characters and move them into another unrelated fandom, and I hope they do.
It's fascinating. It really is, because then, I mean, this gets into the whole ideas behind, like, Ready Player One and all this of, like, you know, where is your real self? Is your real self us talking? Is it online? You know, and it's really fascinating to me. One thing I want to make sure we talk about, you brought this up, Elisa, is, like, how game masters or dungeon masters can use this in their tabletop games.
Yes.
First of all, use puzzles, which I think are underutilized in in games in general, but also, I mean, some elements like this of an ARG would be really fascinating to bring into a tabletop game.
Oh, I certainly think so. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that on a panel. I'm going to be on a panel with Rudy, actually, at Gen Con, where we talk about different
Rudy
types
Rutenberg of Maze Arcana fame.
The very one. And yeah, we're going to be talking about different game mechanics you can bring into your game, and so I'll be talking a little bit about how to do that with puzzles. And everybody can just stay tuned for things coming from me next, and you can learn a little bit more.
Oh
man!
Yeah.
Damn it! I wanted you to talk a little bit more about it.
Well, and this is still early development anyway, but like I mentioned, Ingress, that has a big ARG element to it. It has the entire time, and it's got the sort of mobile app game because that predated Pokemon Go, but used sort of the same network. So I imagine as I continue to do work for them, incorporating ARGs with the RPG that we're building for them in a cool way might emerge. So keep your eye out for that too.
Yeah, I loved Ingress before Pokemon Go came out, and then I was like, oh man, it's basically the same game. I want to just go back to Ingress. But yeah, no, I mean, I'd love for folks to be able. Now I feel like when I Dungeon Master next, I'm going to create a fake Twitter account.
It's not easy
for my characters.
Like this is like a very special skill set.
It is, but you could use elements. I mean, that's the whole thing. You could be inspired by what you guys have done.
I'm inspired. I just don't think I could.
Well, guess what? We're here whenever you guys need us.
That's why we have you.
That's spoken like true freelancers.
Indeed. Well, we loved it, and we're certainly happy to do it again if the need arises.
Awesome. All right. Well, how can folks get in touch with you, ask you more questions about No Stone Unturned? Emmett, where's the best place for people to focus all their efforts on your fake characters?
Twitter is good. You can find the real me, and I'm on there more now that I have a little breather. That's
not an iambic pentameter.
How do we know that's you?
Well, that's a
Emmett
tricky
Fury
question.
could be one of your characters.
Sorry, we interrupted you as you were saying it. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. It's at Emmett Fury. That's EMMETTFUREY.
You are very not angry for someone with that name.
Not yet.
No, I know. Yeah, I don't have any Howling Commandos, and I'm not an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but, I don't want to limit myself, so we'll see what happens.
Not yet, anyway.
And Elisa, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at Geeky Pinup. It's the worst Twitter name in the world. I apologize.
It's not. I think it's really cute.
It's too late. I discovered a while ago. It was too late for me to change it, but it is who I am. I am geeky. I dress vintage. People put the two together. It's all right. Geeky, GeekyPinup.
Nice.
So we have to follow you. I already do, but everyone has to follow you to find out about something I think you were teasing. That you wouldn't tell us more information about.
I would love to talk about it as soon as.
Is it something for you?
I am allowed to talk about it.
Oh. Does everyone know what it is but me?
Pretty much. Everybody in this room except for Ryan knows about this.
Dawson, do you know too?
Dawson does too. I clued him in as soon as he got here. I was like, you can't tell Shelly.
his mentor.
You have these secrets.
God damn.
So thank you guys again. I loved how you integrated all of the fun puzzles of Waterdeep Dragon Heist into the real world. Great work with No Stone Unturned. Thanks for all of the solvers out there who paid attention and did all of those great puzzles and made Elisa work harder.
And
At least I can sleep now.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, woo, good to go.
I know, it must be such a relief.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. The Stone of Galore will show up somewhere else, I'm very sure. So look out for that. Perhaps
Thank
at
you guys so
Origins.
much for having me on.
Oh.
That's right. Are you guys going to be at, Elisa, you're going to be at Origins, correct?
I am not going to be at Origins because I am prepping to be a celeb DM for D&D in a castle in France.
That's the one you're going to.
Wow.
You're going to the castle. I
Yeah,
forgot.
so I'll be dungeon mastering for 4 days straight in a cool experience from Regency Encounters. They're doing D&D in a castle, and so I'm missing out on Origins, but I will be at Gen Con.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you at one of those and pick your brain about all the things you've been teasing, I'm sure. Emmett, we'll see each other again very soon. I loved your costume as well as Elisa's many costumes at the Stream of Many Eyes. You guys rocked the house.
Yeah, that's Lauren Matezik, who we can credit for that one. That was awesome, and she was awesome.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, thank you again
Thank
for calling
you.
in. Thank you for giving us all the clues that we needed at the right moments.
Thank you, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay.
Goodbye. Excellent. So you didn't even
Smart
know that was
people.
going on, did you?
No.
It was underneath the stones. That's why you got to unturn the stones because
No.
that's how you know
No
that they're
idea.
there.
I remember seeing things with like the glyphs hidden in them, but
You just were like, pfft.
I'm like, I'll never solve that.
That's awesome
That's
stuff.
so cool though that their minds think like that.
I know.
Puzzle to puzzle.
I know. I love it too. And I'm probably more in your vein where I don't think I could ever solve any of that stuff. I just love knowing that it was there and it was
Yes.
happening and that there were so many people who were a big part of it. I loved the ARG stuff from I Love Bees, but I loved reading about what they were doing more than the actual solving of it. Like
Yeah.
because there's some great meta idea there that I just something about that just tickles my fantasy bones.
I
don't
do
know.
like puzzle. I mean, I like trying to solve things.
Yeah.
So next time, let
Next
me know
time.
next time.
All right, next time I'll let you know, and then you
'Cause I
won't
don't
be able
even
to
think
solve
I pick up on the clues. That like something's going on here.
Dun, dun, dun. I
Don't
know
know.
it. Thank you, everyone on Twitch, for watching these two interviews. We are going to take a, I think we're just going to take a, full on out. Let's get it out, and then we got to do some intros and outros.
get out.
Yeah, we'll record those without prying eyes. What do you think about that? Yeah, probably. All right, that's
Because we have enough prying eyes right here.
That's right. Oh God, there are three of them. Ah, it's destroying me.
So gross.
Thank you guys, everybody watching on Twitch. We'll be back next week.
I won't.
You're not going to be back next Sunday?
I'll
And
be
Monday?
Origins.
Or are you still traveling?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will be at Origins, but I will mostly be helping Shelly.
You will?
Sure.
Are you serious?
I mean, yeah. Mostly to make sure you have someone to drink with. That was
that's the helping.
that was the
that I
idea, right?
need.
That I was like, I need there to be
6 o'clock, Hyatt lobby.
I will have
We'll take it from there.
all of the wine glasses poured and ready to go.
Yes.
But yeah, you should look for if you're going to Columbus, Ohio for Origins Game Fair, I will be there. We will have, we're not having like any official Dragon Talk events, but the two of us will be there. And
We'll
we
be
can, drink in essence.
And you can sign up to play Axis and Allies and Zombies. Woo! But come see our booth anyway, Gaming Hall A.
Exactly.
505B.
The good Gaming Hall A. And then, of course, tonight we are hosting such fun stuff as Loading Ready Run at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. We are not hosting Loading Ready Run at 5 p.m. Pacific Time with the Dice Friends. They are off this week, but we will be having Dark and Dicey happening today at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. That is Dungeon Master KG Tang with a bunch of amazing players. If you didn't see them over the last month, you should check them out. They are fun, and they might actually still have this here artifact in their group. I loved. He's KG, the Dungeon Master, was the one who was actually able to embody the voice of the Stone of Galore in the final session on the Saturday.
Really?
Yes, and Nathan Sharp's character, the Kenku Pluck, wants nothing to do with it. Wants to throw it out. But it may still be there. We'll have to see.
Find out.
So go check that out tonight at 7 p.m. Tomorrow we got a full day here with 1 p.m. Pacific Time, Mike Merle's Happy Fun Hour. Bart Carroll talking to Jeremy Crawford on Dragon Plus, as well as me at 3:30 p.m. doing some D&D news. We will also have no Dice Camera Action episode this week. because of Origins E3 and all the fun stuff going on there. All the players are probably still recovering from Stream of Many Eyes, to be perfectly honest. But we'll be back on the 19th of June, and a special guest, Travis McElroy, will be returning as Magnus Burnsides. He was on the Sunday performance of Dice Camera Action in costume as his character from the Adventure Zone. That was super cool, and he'll be returning for that. Then on Wednesday, we're hosting the C Team, Acquisitions Incorporated, on 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Thursday, we've got Codename Entertainment and Waffle Talk at 3 p.m., hosting Critical Role at 7, of course. And then on Friday, we have Beamdog, 12 to 1. There is Tales from Candlekeep, and at 1 p.m., Roll20. Wait, no, I don't think that actually is going to happen this week. No, I think that we might be moving that. All right, well, thank you guys so much. We will see you tomorrow on the Twitches when it begins with Mike Merle's Happy Fun Hour. Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.